I want to continue with this technical business of placing your images properly and then checking them, and ultimately what we call pre-flighting and then packaging our pieces. So I'm going to go to a new page, and I'm going to place a second graphic on my document, or in my document. So again, in the previous video, place file D, and we'll go ahead and we'll get another image here. I'm going to get the Photoshop Dune image, and then I'm placing it on the page. And this time I did not make the box beforehand. Notice that I did not do that. So nonetheless, as I indicated in the previous video, a box is automatically put here by Illustrator, and I know that for a fact because I can go ahead and give it some color, and then I'll be able to easily see that it is visible. I'll make it a couple of points, and there you can see it pops up very quickly and very easily. And so here is my image, and as I mentioned in the previous video, Command Shift black arrow, drag the corner, it'll reduce the size of the image and the box at the same time. And so I now have a second image here. I'm going to go up once again and get my links dialog box, and now I have two images that are both listed here in the links dialog box, and so far everything is looking okay. I don't have any yellow triangles or red stop signs indicating that there's a problem. Continue to save, Command S, save constantly. And now I am going to move on to looking at the resolutions and looking at the overall situation of my document on the technical end. So you go File and down to Preflight. And Preflight is the term that's used literally from airplanes. We check everything out before we take off. And the taking off part of the process is pulling all of the final documents together into a package, a folder that can then be put on a CD or somehow gathered and taken to the print company. So we check everything out beforehand. Once we make sure everything is copacetic and there are no problems, then we go ahead and pull it all together and package it, or take off if we're using the aeronautical terminology. So first we go to Preflight. And Preflight gives us a series of boxes that take a look at what is going on with our document. And the first thing we see in Preflight is a summary, and it says information about the fonts, it talks about the links, and it talks about the colors. And then we can look at those categories individually. So we can go right here to fonts, and it'll tell me what kind of fonts they are and if the status of the fonts is okay. Once again, when you take things to a printing company, you need to bring the fonts as well as all the original graphic images and the document to them for them to properly output it. So we'll come back talking about fonts at a later time. I want to focus primarily on the next category, which is the links and the images. And in our case, we've got two images. Here you see them listed individually. It tells me that they're both the right file format and that they are both the right color mode. If one of these was an RGB, then we would see a little warning sign out next to it that would have told us, you're not ready to package, you need to fix this. And so then you would have to open it back up in Photoshop, like in the video a couple of videos back where I prepped it in Photoshop, and you would change the mode to from RGB to CMYK, and then come back here, update it, which is just a click right here, update the image, and if everything's okay, then it'll say, alright, we're ready to go. So we can look at them, so there's no excuse for not having this right. It's here in black and white for you. Only CMYK TIFFs will be acceptable in the print world and in your project for Photoshop images. So we have all of that in good stead at the present time. So the next thing we would say is, okay, let's go ahead and gather it all up and package it. Now, before we go there, we need to look at the resolution issues. I told you that because we're printing our projects in class on a laser printer, that according to the formula, the resolution needs to be between 127, no lower, pixels per inch, and it doesn't need to be any higher than 2 times 85, which is 170. I also reminded you that when we play with the size of an image, it changes the resolution. So, in this case, with the dune, the original resolution is right here, the actual pixels per inch. And then if we manipulate the size of it, making it bigger or smaller, that's going to change the resolution. And so that's what this second number is. Effectively, or the final resolution, after I may have messed around with it, is now 87 pixels per inch. It's gone up a little bit because I reduced the size. But is it up to the minimum 127 pixels per inch? No, it's not. And so I either have to reduce this image much smaller to push up the resolution, or I have to get a different image. So if a smaller version of the dune does not work in my document for the design, then that's just too bad. I need to pick a different photograph, because it's not going to work to use this image at this size in this particular document because the resolution isn't high enough. So watch for a second. It's right now 87, right? So I'm going to cancel this and we'll pull the corner. We'll reduce the size of the image. I'm going to go 87. I'm going to go down to about like this. And I'll save that. And again, I'm going to go back to this pre-flighting business. I'll go again to the links. And, boy, look at this. I guessed right on the money. Look at this. By reducing the image, it now is up to 127 pixels per inch. That's the very lowest it can be. So the photograph cannot be used in this document for a laser printer any larger than this. Okay, and if I made it a little bit smaller, it would increase the resolution some more, and that wouldn't hurt. But it does not need to be anything higher than 170. So let's go to the second image. This one, kind of the same problem. It originally was 72 pixels per inch, which is very low, and I made it a little bit smaller, but not small enough, and it's only 89. So again, let's do the same thing. Get a different image, or figure out that you can make it work in your design using it much smaller. And so I'm going to do that just for the sake of argument here. And again, black arrow, Command Shift, pull the corner and bring it down. Save that change. And again, go back to pre-flighting. Links and the second image, and now that image is looking good. It's up to 133 pixels per inch. Remember, the first one was up to the bare minimum of 127, and now we're ready to go, and everything is CMYK TIFFs, and so now I can say take off. Let's package it.